In the comments, guys, Mark Fairfield says, I don't get how anyone can think we're stronger now without spending a single penny. And Marzuno says, we still don't have a permanent number 9. However, Davy Hoop says, so they left it late. However, it feels like Martin O'Neill did well with who he signed. Sean says, I think Celtic addressed their problem area most efficiently. They were massively lacking up front. Now 3 good options instead of 0. And the one guy that we've not even talked about yet, Chris points out the Ox is on his way, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Who Martin O'Neill talked about in his press conference today, a free agent, could be on his way to Celtic. Maybe.
It feels like, after what happened with Iheanacho, following the end of the last window, it's got a kind of Celtic feel to it, doesn't it? Now, nobody's going to tell me that this boy doesn't have pedigree. We all know Oxlade-Chamberlain, what he can do, what he can produce, how good he's been. England international, as you see there, title winner with Liverpool. Look, the problem. I think the concern would be that at 32, he's had a series, I think, of knee issues.
Hasn't played since May.
And that's caused a big problem. So how fit is he? As you said, Dan, hasn't played in a long time, but has this knee issue that has been plaguing him for quite a while. But look, if he's available, he's been training with Arsenal. So he's obviously not, match sharp or match ready. But if he's been training away, and that'll be high tempo training, there's been no doubt about that. And I believe that even Mikel Arteta was asked the other day about him and didn't rule out the possibility of bringing him in for title, for Arsenal's run towards the title.
Yep.
I'd want to see him with my own eyes again to make the judgment on what he looks like, because I haven't seen him play for a considerable time. Well, he hasn't played for a considerable time. But there's no doubt, based upon what he's done in his career, that Celtic would be getting in a guy of real quality with bags of experience at a crucial point in the season. I can totally understand why Martin O'Neill wants to have that conversation. I think he did say today, Martin O'Neill, that his worry would be Oxlade-Chamberlain might be offered something bigger, better, and closer to home down in London.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened thus far. Celtic are at the table. If this is a deal that he fancies, if he quite likes the idea of it, I think it's a deal that could be done.
David says that we're being too negative. Remember Aaron Mooy. And it's a fair point, Scott. I mean, as Keith says, if he's fit, and again, that's a big if.
I also remember Freddie Ljungberg.
True. Aye, that's very, very good point. But if he's fit, if he gets his match fitness up, 32, it's not, in this day and age, it's not particularly old. Could be a good addition.
Listen, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain at his very best and at his fittest, a top player. So if you can get that version of him, even if it is for the 14 league games, then it might be worth it. No, I mean, it could be vital for you in terms of getting you over the line and the title. It's just fitness, as Jacko said. You just don't know. I know he's been training with Arsenal, but he has had a lot of injuries, as you say. He's not played in a long time. Didn't quite work out for him at Besiktas, where again injuries kind of plagued him. But it's how is he now? Is he ready to come into the Scottish Premiership and go full throttle for 14 games and try and help Celtic get this title? If he is, then why not? Why not? I mean, it would fit in terms of where Celtic are in terms of recruitment. When you think of all the loan players coming in, clearly, I think for me that's purely down to the fact that they don't know who the manager will be next season. So it'd be foolish to go and sign permanent players that a new manager.
Do you buy that, Scott? Do you buy that? I there's something about that. I know exactly what you mean. New manager will come in. They need it. They're looking at, I think, one of the biggest squad rebuilds that Celtic have faced in many a year next summer. But if I'm a manager that's coming in, I'm happy if I'm coming in and there's quality in the building already.
Aye.
Less things for me to have to worry about. So I think Celtic could still have gone for a high calibre of player in the January window on big contracts and give the new manager a fighting start, something to build from. Whereas whoever's coming into this job is facing an absolute wipeout in the summer. So I don't go along with it. I could see that Celtic would use it as a reason for not spending money, but I don't think it washes. It doesn't cut the mustard for me.
They could have done that, and they probably should have done it in terms of, as I say, winning the league. But I just think that then comes down to, we know that behind the scenes, the recruitment department and the scouting department and everything behind the scenes isn't right at Celtic at the moment. The whole system seems to be broken at the minute. Until that, you're looking at talking about a summer rebuild in terms of the squad. You're talking about a new manager, potentially a new sporting director, new recruitment team maybe. To me, that's probably why. I'm not saying it's right, but that's probably why these type of signings have come in. I think they could have got better. I think they could have pushed the boat out more in terms of trying to get over the line. 100%. They should have probably spent more money given the kind of reserves that they've got, as you touched on at the start. But I do think that's a big part of it. Not only do they know of a manager or a sporting director, but clearly there's no real recruitment strategy or idea, joined up thinking in there at the moment in terms of who they need now, who they're going to get in the summer, big picture, forward planning. I just don't see any of that at Celtic at the minute, and that has to be fixed soon.
Well, I think the job becomes, you've said, no manager, no sporting director, etc., becomes a lot tougher if there's no title.
Exactly.
And I think that's where Celtic's priority and focus should be right now. And look, they'll say they've brought bodies in. They have brought bodies in. You can't deny it. I think it's just way short. It's way short of what Celtic should be doing. And you know, Martin O'Neill was doing everything to keep this season alive, to rescue them. As I said earlier, he's a human shield to the board right now. If somehow he cobbles this together and they get over the line, then the debt of gratitude to that man from the Celtic board will be absolutely enormous. But I don't think that they've given him the best opportunity to do that. And I think they should have tried harder and spent more.
What I'm surprised about, Daniel, is that they haven't gone a bit more local. No, you think of the situation they're in, and I'm talking about a lack of recruitment team and lack of joined up thinking, no sporting director. To me, it would be simpler to look at players close by. Look at players in your own doorstep. I mean, the likes of the Oxlade-Chamberlain one, if he's fit, I can see why that would appeal to Martin O'Neill, because he knows if he can get him fit and playing, he knows what he's going to get from, knows exactly what he's getting from. And I'm just amazed. I know we've touched on Maswanisi and others in terms of the old firm, and this is a big picture thing for me with the Rangers and Celtic, because they've been doing it for years, but just completely ignoring talent in their own doorstep. And I think if Celtic, even just to take one signing like Mavuta, who's come in on loan, the wide player, Celtic are looking for a wide player. I don't know how they end up getting a guy at Lorient, with all due respect, in France.
From the Lorient bomb squad.
Aye, who's struggling to get a game and second or third shot. And how does that then become the standard for Celtic? And I look at some of the players in Scotland just now, just off the top of my head, players that they might have went for, even if you put Maswanisi aside, who's going to cost you a few million at least, but like an Elijah Just at Motherwell, if you go a bit more experienced, let's say a Martin Boyle at Hibs, or just people who could come in and do a job in this league. If it is short term, if it's 6 months, if it's a loan, if it's an 18-month deal, that would maybe appeal to some of these players. For Celtic to end up needing a wide player and they end up at Lorient in the French league with a guy who's not getting a game, I just find that remarkable, I must admit.